Buffalo, New York, WKBW. When Jason Botterill said the Buffalo Sabres needed a major shake-up, he wasn't kidding. But how will the recent roster moves look on opening night? It's too early to tell, but let's take a guess, shall we? Offense: Connor Sheary, Jack Eichel, Sam Reinhart acquired last week from the Pittsburgh Penguins. Connor Sheary is used to playing with elite players. Lining up on the left with Jack Eichel, Sheary will bring some desperately needed speed to the Sabres lineup. Sheary isn't a prototypical top-line winger, but he'll almost immediately become one of the most talented players Eichel has played with while in Buffalo. On the right side of the top line, Sam Reinhart, who was one of the most productive players in the NHL during the second half of last year. Imagine Reinhart can be signed to a 2- or 3-year bridge deal, with an average salary between $4 million and $5 million per. Vladimir Sobotka, Patrick Berglund, Kyle Oakper. So you don't need to tell me, this is a pretty below-average second line. During their careers, both Sobotka and Berglund have thrived in bottom six roles. With the Sabres, at least next, they'll need to play on the second line while the Sabres continue to develop some of their younger players. If nothing else, this trio should be able to play tough minutes against skilled players while still having some offensive upside. Not a ton, but at least some. Evan Rodriguez, Casey Mittelstadt, Alex Nylander. Good news, Sabres fans, this has the potential to be a pretty exciting third line. The quotes around third are because this line will play just as significant of a role as the aforementioned trio. Mittelstadt absolutely has the skill and potential to one day become a very good top six forward in the NHL. It just may take time. Limiting his minutes and responsibility seems like the right thing to do, at least next. As for Rodriguez, the versatile player on this line who can contribute at both ends of the ice. With Nylander, if not ready to make the team on a time basis by October, the Sabres are in big trouble. He certainly has the talent to play in the NHL, but something hasn't clicked. Maybe it does by the start of next. Scott Wilson, Zemgus Girgensons, Jason Pominville. Wilson won't wow anyone with his offensive production, but a very dependable two-way player who should get a new contract in the offseason. Girgensons and Pominville both underperformed for much of last, but there isn't much the Sabres can do. Defense: Jake McCabe, Rasmus Ristolainen. At times in 2016-2017, McCabe and Ristolainen played very well together as a pair, logging top minutes on a more competitive team. Last didn't go as planned for McCabe, appearing in only 53 games before undergoing ending surgery. Ristolainen finished with the fourth most points on the Sabres, despite missing 9 games. His offensive production has been consistently solid, but defensively at times been a liability. To be fair, Ristolainen has been asked to play nearly 30 minutes a night against the opposing top line. Adding Dahlin and Gula as time players next should take a lot of the responsibility off Ristolainen, who could prove to be a rock-solid number 3 defenseman with offensive upside. Marco Scandella, Rasmus Dahlin. It has been decades since the Sabres had a franchise defenseman, and while Dahlin is still an 18-year-old kid, you would be hard-pressed to find someone who doesn't believe he'll become one of the best defenders in the league. For what it's worth, Dahlin played on both the left and right side while in Sweden, despite being a left-handed shot. Pairing him with Marco Scandella might be a smart way for the Sabres to ease him into. If Dahlin wants to fly up the ice, Scandella will likely be there to hold down the fort at the other end of the ice. Scandella was certainly not perfect defensively last, but was often left out to dry because of mistakes made by his teammates. Brendan Gula, Zach Bogosian, who played only 18 games last, is as big of a wild card as any on the Sabres roster next. When healthy, Bogosian can contribute and has the potential to help the Sabres at both ends of the ice. That said, the 27-year-old hasn't played in more than 64 games since he was traded to the Sabres in 2015. Paying a bottom-pair defenseman $5.1 million per certainly isn't ideal. But moving Bogosian because of his injury history and salary may be nearly impossible. Gula showed flashes of brilliance last in his 18 games with the Sabres in the NHL. He's still a work in progress in the defensive zone, but has all the tools to grow into a top 4 NHL defenseman. Extras: Casey Nelson. Matt Hunnick-Nelson had a short but impressive stint with the Sabres last, scoring 3 goals and adding 5 assists in 37 games. As they carried along, he continued to improve, earning a 2-year contract extension in May, $812,500 per. Hunwick has plenty of NHL experience, and if the injury bug bites, Hunwick can easily slide into the lineup. Goaltenders: Carter Hutton. For weeks leading up to free agency, the Sabres were linked to Hutton, and just minutes after noon on July 1, the Sabres made it official. Hutton isn't a proven starter in the league, but is coming off an incredible Linus Ullmark after a strong start to last, earning AHL All-Star honors. Ullmark regressed and struggled after suffering a concussion. In the playoffs, Ullmark allowed 16 goals in 3 games with Rochester. Giving Ullmark 30 games next would be ideal for his continued development.